Railway Minister Suresh Prabhu is set to unveil his second railway budget in just a few hours from now. The Railway Ministry is currently swamped in a deep financial crisis. The ministry is likely to introduce cuts in crucial reserve funds to window dress its financial condition and show a healthy operating ratio. What all can be expected from Suresh Prabhu? This is going to be a subject matter of comprehensive discussion, not debate, but discussion here on India Today. With me in the studio at this moment, I have Mr. Manish Puri. He is the Managing Director, India Infrastructure and Logistics Private Limited. Thanks very much, Mr. Puri, for joining us. We have Sanjeeva Shivesh. He's the founder and CEO of the Entrepreneurship School. He's there in the studio with us. And Mr. Ramakrishnan T.S., independent consultant for the transport railways. And you specialize, you've done a lot of work on bullet trains.
Yeah.
So we'll concentrate on that. We'll speak to you on that. We also have now from Vijay Chowk, from outside Parliament, our executive editor Javed Ansari. He joins us with a couple of guests. Yes, Javed, it's over to you.
Two eminent parliamentarians with me, Mr. Rajiv Gowda of the Congress, he's a member of the upper house, the Rajya Sabha, and Mr. Jagdambika Pal of the BJP. So let me begin with the BJP. This is the second railway budget that Mr. Suresh Prabhu will be presenting. Last year there was a bit of a disappointment for MPs at least, because there were no new trains, there was a hike in passenger and freight rates. What are your expectations now?
Mr. Prabhu, last year, what budget he has presented. Now, you have seen in last so many years that the budget was almost framed in the manner of it should be very populist also. And he has focused, he has focused on the 4 points. Number one, customers. Number two, safety. And number three, then even some extra support for capacity building. Means how to generate resources, because for Indian Railway, if you wanted to provide some more facilities to the passengers also, amenities also, and safety also, you need funds also. And funds only you can generate in railway only from 3 resources.
I'll come back to you, Jagdambika ji. Rajiv ji, you just heard Mr. Jagdambika Pal said that there were these 4. The main focus was augmentation of funds, but he seems to be in a very tight financial situation. So where are the funds going to come from? Is he going to again go in for a hike in passenger and freight rates?
I think Suresh Prabhu is up against a very, very difficult challenge, and there is a lot of hype about his capability and his track record, and I think this budget will expose his inability to live up to that hype. What you see is the railways facing a huge salary burden, pension burden as part of this whole pay commission hike, and that is going to just throw the railways budget out of kilter, and he has not been able to augment revenue and resources from other sources. He had talked about bringing private players inside into the railways. He had talked about working on redevelopment of railway stations, innovative ways of monetizing railway land and advertising revenues and things like that, and we don't see much on those fronts. And to point out, as Shri Pal said, safety was one of the big agendas. Have you actually seen an improvement in safety? You've seen worse numbers this year than in the previous year. So, he's not able to meet targets. Safety continues to be a challenge. But you have to give him credit. At least they've improved amenities, facilities on trains. There is a general feel-good factor about traveling has become a lot more easier. I'm not so sure about that. We saw pictures in social media of a new train that had just been launched with some very, very fancy high-tech equipment, and it had been trashed by passengers, and it was in a very, very sorry state. Rajiv, so while the measure is a good thing, then a lot more needs to be done to ensure that service qualities are maintained. Rajiv ji, you understand the world of finance. If I were to put you in Mr. Suresh Prabhu's shoes, what would you do in your second year as what? I would stand up to the Prime Minister and say, let us drop this delusion of bullet trains. Let us allocate that huge amount of money which we are going to get from the Japanese to upgrading the network, relieving congestion, improving traffic safety, making this whole traffic management system much more high-tech, so that more trains can pass through, and as a result you can have more volumes, lower the costs, make the railways a much more attractive freight and passenger transport. Sanket, Mr. Rajiv Gowda is clear. He believes that
they've got their priorities wrong, that they should junk this bullet train project and invest that money into augmentation of infrastructure.
Absolutely. Javed Ansari, many thanks for joining us. We'll of course keep coming back to you as and when more parliamentarians join you outside Vijay Chowk. Okay, Mr. Ramakrishnan, one of the comments that was made by one of the parliamentarians was junk the bullet train plan. First get your house in order and then you can dream big. Of course, you're not going to run bullet trains on these tracks.
Yeah, I mean, first thing is, as far as Indian rail network is concerned, there is high density network covering quadrilateral and its diagonals. And whenever such a kind of high density network is there, Western countries and developed countries have gone for bullet train because it creates huge capacity in this network. So we have already gone for dedicated freight corridor, which is going to create huge capacity for freight transport. The same way it should be done for passenger transport also. And there is nothing wrong in and moreover the investment comes for a new project, doesn't come for your regular project. So we have to take that also into consideration. For example, Japan is ready to invest money in either dedicated freight corridor, which is a new project, or bullet train, which is again greenfield project. Certainly they are not going to invest in the existing lines, upgradation and all. That we need to do from our end.
Okay, Mr. Puri, you are the Managing Director of the India Infrastructure and Logistics Private Limited. I am only assuming that you have a lot of expectations from the rail network, because railway, apart from the cargo system, which is either very expensive, or the road route that is trucks, which is also a very popular mode, but railways is the backbone as far as logistical movement is concerned, freight movement is concerned. What are your expectations or the expectations of your sector from this year's rail budget? I'll tell you why I asked this question. Just want to complete. Usually in the past, we have seen what railway ministers do, that they, as a part of a populist measure, they will not increase the passenger fare, but there will be moderate or high increase in the freight,
absolutely,
the freight rate or the freight fare. What do you think should be the expectation this time around?
Well, I think we all know that the financial condition of the railways is very bleak right now. But let me sort of go out on a limb and I say I think that this year the railways, as far as freight is concerned, needs to look very hard at whether they need to actually reduce what they're charging the freight sector. The freight sector...
Really? You're talking about reduction?
Yes, I'm talking about reduction. The freight sector accounts for close to around 70% of the revenue that the railway earns. You said that the railways is the backbone of the freight system. Unfortunately, the railways carries not more than 30% of the share of cargo, the 70% going on road, and that 70% has been increasing over the last few years. In the last year, and to give you a specific example from the sector that I represent, which is containerized rail transport, there was a 28% increase in haulage. And I think we've now reached a place where we've reached that proverbial tipping point where now the increase in cost is leading to decrease in volumes. So while you're trying to raise revenues, you're actually reducing volumes and going into lower revenues. So I think if you want to look at increased loading, if you want to look at increased volumes, even if you want to look at just increased revenues, if you don't have the cargo on the rail, what are we talking about?
Absolutely.
So I think we need to look at that drastic measure.
28% is a worrying figure. But Mr. Sanjeeva, you're the founder and CEO of the Entrepreneurship School. Now, in between 2005, that is the first tenure of the UPA, 2004 and 2008, there was this whole buzz around the Indian Railways, of a man called Lalu Prasad Yadav as the rail minister, the great entrepreneur, the person who has turned the railways around, has done some magic with a magic wand to turn the railways around, make it a success story. What in your vision was the truth, number one? And number two, what realistically can Mr. Suresh Prabhu do?
So,
as far as entrepreneurship is concerned.
Yeah. So I think two parts to your question. The first one, I give full credit to Lalu Prasad Yadav for call it turnaround, give it any name. But what he did was he took measures which substantially increased revenues for the railways. Now those were some very low-hanging fruits, and those fruits were in the form of he increased the haulage capacity or the payload for the wagon.
What is haulage for the layman?
So before Lalu, a wagon would carry about 58 tons.
Okay.
A railway wagon would carry 58 tons of, let's say, coal or any commodity, which was increased to 66 and 68 tons. And now, in some case, they're also trying to touch 70. So, per wagon, now railways are carrying higher load. Now, that 12-ton increase meant more revenue for railways. And this was the big, this was waiting to happen, and Lalu was there at the right time, and he ensured that this happens uniformly all across everywhere on the railways. What it did was it generated about 20,000 crore rupees for railways, which gave a new lease of life for railways. Now today, I fully agree with what Manish is saying. In terms of freight rates, railways have reached a point of no return.
Okay.
So, for example, we are doing a study for road sector, and the per ton cost of transportation on road is about 1 rupee 70 paise, and on rail it is 1 rupee 69 paise. So you have got only 1 paise of
Advantage.
margin, right? And in some sectors those margins are not even there.
Okay.
Right.
Let's from freight, let's move on to the people, because that is most important at this moment. I want to go across to our reporters. We have Kamaljeet Sandhu from the New Delhi railway station and Manogya joining us from the Howrah railway station. Let me come across to you, Kamaljeet, first. There was a lot of discussion about what Lalu did and what he did not do as far as freight and generation of money is concerned. But the big concern as far as people are concerned are on two counts. Number one, what is the passenger fare going to be? That is the expectation. Whether it is going to be less or more in terms of facilities, what is going to be provided for the fare that is taken from the people. And number two, Kamaljeet, what is even more important is the safety of these passengers.
Absolutely, Sanket. Safety and security are two major issues. We have with us two passengers. They've just come from Jamshedpur. But just besides safety and security, there are certain issues that they would want to discuss. We'll come to this gentleman. He works in the airline industry. Do tell us, you were saying timing is a huge issue with trains. You've been delayed for work today. What are your expectations from Budget 2016?
Yeah, my name is Shubham. Regarding the budget, first of all, I would like to ask the rail budget people that the train should be on time. If it is not in time, they should update us regarding the train is delayed by 5 hours or 4 hours. We don't have any update. Regarding the reservation system, if we want to book a Tatkal ticket online, we are not able to book it because after certain a moment, the ticket get vanished from the system.
Do you think anything has really changed in terms of cleanliness, in terms of security?
Nothing. If you are using
Sanket, if we can try and show you the facade outside, this is obviously the Ajmeri gate side of New Delhi railway station, and you can see a lot has changed. We've got escalators, there's more security out here. There's also a live screen which has been put in place for the railway budget 2016 so that the passengers can have a look. We'll talk to more passengers. We have with us a woman. Now, every time we speak to women passengers, it's mostly about concern about safety, security. Other than that also, do you think anything really has changed? What are your expectations from budget 2016?
For women, we need more safety because if women are traveling single, there is no safety. Either they are teasing, some people are teasing. Police are also
There continues to be harassment, you say?
like harassments. And the police are also not coordinating.
What about the existing? There is the RPF, then there is a better mechanism. Now you can lodge an FIR within the railway station. Do you often travel in a train? What do you think should be done by the railways?
We need FIR also
So better safety, better security. In fact, little has changed. If you really talk to most of the people out there, most of them are actually repeating demands over the past few years about safety, security, cleanliness.
It's almost like during elections, people talk about Bijli, Sadak, Pani. And similarly, as far as railway budget is concerned, these are the main concerns. Security, safety, as well as, the timely running of these trains. We are taking a short break at this moment. Remember, at 12 noon is when we are expecting that the rail budget will be presented. The rail minister is expected to go to the rail bhavan, and from there he'll carry this suitcase that he usually does to the parliament.
Petition has now been filed in Bombay High Court against the release of Sanjay Dutt, citing inequality. It is in public interest asking Sanjay Dutt's release order to be cancelled. The petition will only come up for hearing tomorrow.